Okay, is it visible? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. Friends, this is what exactly we need to understand where the production technology of this tomato in massive. So these are the countries which they are growing these tomato crops. The China, which stood first, India and USA, Turkey. This is only a knowledge to gain to remember which are the other countries which are growing this tomato crops. So this again the other countries, the position worldwide leading tomato productions by the China and India. We are contributing about 11.5%. And at the same time, so these are the export oriented one, the Pakistan, United States, Bangladesh. You don't have to worry much about these data. It will be more useful when people are looking for study purpose for the competitive examination, or otherwise from the point of examinations, it may not be. But in Karnataka, the Kolar regions, and at the same time, the Saveri, Belgaum, Chikbalapur, Mandya, all these regions, they are growing this tomato crop. So if you will look into the constituents, the moisture, protein, the fat, the minerals, carbohydrates, potassium. So you just imagine the potassium is also very good. This 114 milligrams, and the vitamin C rich, and the vitamin A. Why it's required is the 320 international units. So that's the reason we use these potato as a rich source of vitamin A also. So I already told the constituents which is pertaining for the productions of potato, the color component, which is the color component, which is giving a color, which is the color component,
Lycopene.
lycopene. Okay, the lycopene. So please remember that, never forget it. So tomato is one of the most popular and widely grown vegetables in the world. It should be ranking in the second, the important to potato in many of the countries. The tomato in large quantities is used to produce the soup, juice, or ketchup, or sometimes is puri. Puri means it's a dried tomato slice. Please remember the paste and the powder which can be made it out. And it also supplies the vitamin C and adds a variety of colors and flavors to the food. So because of its wider adaptability and the stability means it can be suitable for any conditions which we can grow. The tomato is grown throughout the wild, either in the outdoors or the indoors. Now the growing of this tomato crop in greenhouse condition is very much popular because it enhances the yield. Okay, that's the conditions people are going for. Most of the times, these solanaceous vegetables, particularly the tomato, these capsicum, brinjal, almost they grow in the outer sides, outdoor, but this capsicum and the tomato, almost they grow in the greenhouse conditions, which enhances the yield potentiality. So, look into these aspects, friends. The pulp and the juice are digestible, the mild appetizer, and promotes the gastric secretions and the blood purifiers also. And it's useful against the mouth cancers, have antiseptic properties against intestinal infections. And one of the best vegetable which keeps our stomach and intestine in a good order. That's the reason we always look for the salads. Whenever you people are asking for salads, it includes the cucumber, the carrot, then these tomato slice on the onion, like that. So hence the reason it is more important. And one best thing we can do, we can extract the juice out of it, and you can use as a skin cleanser. Okay, the girls can make it out. They can soup out these juice, and once in a while, in a week, they can use this particular juice, which will be more useful for enhancing these or avoiding the skin aging. So the pigmentations of tomato fruits, the three plus colors in tomato because of the red that contains is because of the lycopene, and yellow is because of the presence of the carotenoid, and tangerine. Please remember this word. The tangerine color is because of the pro-lycopene pigment. So these are the three pigments which will be present in the fruits of this tomato, which gives a very important one. So there are different species. These are actually, as mentioned, the varieties. You can remember as in species, there's Lycopersicon esculentum variety common, then Lycopersicon esculentum variety grandiflorium. There's a large leaf tomatoes which will be available. And then the Lycopersicon esculentum variety cerasiforme, that's the cherry tomato, the smaller one, the small fruit you can find. Then the upper tomato is the Lycopersicon esculentum variety validum. Then Lycopersicon esculentum variety pyriforme, that's a pear tomato. The pear tomato is also sometimes we say tree tomato. So that means the very good the tree tomatoes. Friends, remember there are two important differentiations which we call them as in tomato, the determinate type and indeterminate type. Please listen to this word. Always in the examination, this point used to be appear. I have evaluated many of the papers and I have found these what exactly. And students, sometimes you people going to be get confused with only one word. So please remember, there's a growth habits is of determinate type and the indeterminate type. The determinate type, the inflorescence occurs more frequently in almost all the internodes. More frequently, all the internodes inflorescence will occur, and until the terminal ones are formed and elongation ceases at this time. Okay, that means there will be growth ceasing. The growth ceases. That's we call them as a determinate. So you have a very determined growth. So this plant will grow this much height. Yes, that much height it will grow and it will complete the life cycle. But in case of the indeterminate types, the inflorescence clusters occurs at every third internodes and the main axis continues to grow indefinitely. That means the growth won't retard. The growth will be continuous. That's the reason we say the determinate type or indeterminate type. Any clarification in this word, friends? Anybody wants to ask any of the clarification, because most of the time this is what actually appears. Okay. ID number 004, others.
Yes, sir.
Yes, boy, any doubts? Determinate
No,
and
sir.
indeterminate.
No,
So
sir.
please, okay, thank you. Please remember the determinate and indeterminate, where in determinate the growth will be ceases and in indeterminate the growth will be in a continuous way. That is why we differentiate the growth habits, which we call them as the determinate type and the indeterminate type. So the advantages of tomato productions under the protection, it provides a protection against the unfavorable conditions where the greenhouse can utilize, and it ensures the desired light conditions, the temperature and the humidity for the specified periods. The carbon dioxide content of the air can also increase, which is going to be assure a better photoperiodic activity. Anybody says what is photoperiod? Phototropism? Yeah. What do you mean by photoperiod? Devender, item number 53.
Yes, sir.
Yes, friend, please tell me what is phototropism? What is photoperiod or phototropism? Phototropism in case of temperature, I'm asking. Or in case of the photo means light. How? What the plants will do?
Sir, that plant particularly receiving the sunlight, the period at which it is receiving the sunlight for flowering, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, what about the phototropism? What is its response? Phototropism means?
Sir, it is a movement of plant towards the light, sir.
Yes, very good. Very good. Thank you. So that is what, friends, you have to remember, since that the phototropism and the photo period, the period how the plants are exposed for the light or the sunlight or the morning hours, we call them as a photo period or the phototropism, as he said rightly, it's a bending of the plants towards but the best example is sunflower because it's always turned towards the light. So then the production of disease-free seedlings, because this tomato is very much susceptible for tomato virus, okay, leaf curl virus. Hence, the tomato leaf curl virus. Hence, this can be avoided in the greenhouse conditions. That's the reason we go for cultivation in the greenhouse conditions, and the yield can be increased nearly to 88 to 10 tons of that open field conditions. We can increase the yield, and continuously the supply of tomatoes throughout the year is possible, and it's going to give the higher returns, or the water saving activity. Why the water saving activity will happen in the greenhouse conditions? Any quick answer?
Less transpiration, so less water loss, so.
Less transpirations, Ankita, because the temperature will be too high in the greenhouse condition. Is it the less transpiration?
So
More
loss
humidity,
is
sir.
water loss.
Sir, humidity is maintained, sir.
Humidity is maintained. Okay, very good. Then what's the conditions we grow in the greenhouse condition? How are we going to irrigate?
Artificially, sir, under controlled conditions, sir.
That's what Anita, what is that? That's artificially. It's still precise. Still precise. It's a broad word. You have used it artificially. Okay, I accept. But still precise. How are you going to irrigate in the conditions of greenhouse? Aishwarya, 08. Aishwarya CM.
Sir, maybe water sprinklers.
Sprinklers. Okay. Then any other words? You are near to that.
Drip.
Micro drippers.
Yes, it is through drippers, because being a solanaceous vegetables, the leaf growth which will be there. If you use the sprinklers, then the appearance of these mosaic diseases will be at the higher rate. So the only thing, whatever you have said is correct, my dear friends. But the use of these plants in the greenhouse conditions, we use the mulching sheets. So because of avoiding the mulching sheet, the weed growth will be lesser. So again, you will be using this drip irrigation system, which really gives a economy usage of this water. That's the reason we said. Okay. So whatever you said is right, but please ensure that you can put it in a sequence way, in a good sense of words, which makes the difference. Then friends, this is what training. Once you make the planting of these seedlings, you have to give a threads. Okay, the thread will grow for the support. You can train. So the particularly this tomato crop, which requires
What
this.
stage we should train, sir?
Pardon?
At what stage we should train, sir?
Yeah. See, I will come to that. We will be transplanting the tomato plants at the stage of 26 days. Okay, when there says 26 days, we have to train them. Training means, in case of tomato, it is just giving a support through the thread, so that because of the climbingness, it can have the support. And in the bottom 1.5 feet level, you have to remove all the leaves, because if there is any incidence of disease, particularly this alternaria or the early blight in the base of the soil, because of these organisms or these fungus, they will be much more the soil borne one. So hence the reason we have to remove the leaves at the bottom. That's what we call as a training and pruning in case of a tomato. Probably 1.5 month, yes, you have to make a training. Is it clear? Hello, friend?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what, friends, I know whenever we ask or write about the soil conditions, people will write, even your friends, good friends also, this crop can be grown in any kind of soil. That's not the word. When you say that word, this crop can be grown in any kind of soil, there is nothing to be explained with respect to the soil. But actually, this requires a sandy loam soils, and the soil must be have a very good drainage system. Very good drainage system. Okay, the water holding capacity should be good, but at the same time, there should not be any stagnation. A stagnation which going to affect on the root system. Hence the reason we should avoid these stagnations. And the sandy loam soils, which must be of very rich in organic constituents, and it must be have the pH value of neutral. The neutral pH value is of always the 6 to 7. And as such, the climate requirement is a tropical crop, or the this warm season crop, which requires much of light for this growth and the temperature. Hence the reason the temperature can be of 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. Even most of the times up to 34 we can grow, but exactly the requirement of this particular temperature is of 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. which will be always the optimum that we need to be remember. Then the light is very, very much necessary in the harvesting dates, which will have the inversely correlated with the amount of light received by the crop during the seedling phases. So the harvesting of this crop is going to be affected in the beginning itself. We have to give a light exposure for the crops, and the fruit weight is also positively correlated with the light received by the crop after the transplanting. So, for example, if you transplant at the 26th day, then up to 1.5 months, the seedling growth which starts. Okay, the 45, or by the 60 days, his crops again it start to flower. In that time, it requires the much of the lights which we need to be have the effect on the yield and the combinations. So these are the methods of raising the nurseries. The seedling can be produced through nursery or the direct sowing, or we can make some of the graftings also by using the wild tomatoes. The seed rate, which requires, if it's in a varieties, it requires 200 to 250 grams, and if it's in hybrids, the 100 grams of seeds is of much enough per hectare of land. This is the requirements. Friends, anyone please interact to me. What's the difference between the variety and the hybrid? What's the difference between variety and the hybrid? ID number 11, Akshata. Akshata, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akshata. Can you make a small interaction? There's what's the difference between variety and the hybrid? What you really understand? What's the difference between variety or hybrid? What is hybrid?
So variety means maybe some that tomato variety maybe, sir. I don't know clear difference.
No. I'm not asking whether it's a tomato or brinjal. That's why. The simple reason is that. Okay, now first tell me what you mean by hybrid. It's a general question. What do you mean by hybrid? Hello? ID number 28, Basuraj.
Hybrid.
Basuraj, please wait. Basuraj?
Yes, sir.
Basuraj, ಏನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ಯಪ್ಪ hybrid ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ? What do you mean by hybrid?
Sir, it is obtained by crossing parental lines. Sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, there must be a two parentage. Okay, the male, the female. Okay, then so by crossing that, you will be getting F1. That F1 we call them as a hybrid, right? That's fine. Then what is variety?
Sir, it is naturally occurring one.
Okay, naturally occurring one. Then if it occurs naturally, what we call them? ID number 15. Chandana, are you alert? Chandana? Chandana? 42, Chandrasekhar?
Sir,
Chandana, ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಮ್ಮ?
sir, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ sir.
Okay, variety ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಮ್ಮ?
Sir, ಇದು naturally occurring variations in plant species.
Then what it is called? If the natural variations are appears, what's the terminology? Anyone? Dikshita MP?
Sir.
Natural agi ಏನಾದ್ರು changes are if there is any changes in the natural habitat of the plants, then what is exactly we call them?
Mutation.
Very good. It's a mutations. So then Basraj, it's a mutation. It's a mutation is different. When you say the variety, the varieties are one which will be selected by the process of selections. There are breeding process which we call them as introduction, the selections, mutation, hybridization, then polyploidy breeding, then the other one it's of the so whenever we take any genotypes, so varieties are the genotypes. from the genotype, the excellence one genotypes will be selected. So that excellence one, we call them as a variety. So there will not be any crossing system. Please remember, this is the small word why I'm telling. If people are in the first, second year, you people have completed the first year, this is one, the basic things you must understand and we should remember and we should not forget it. Okay. So, okay, friends, I will move on. See, the recommended spacing for the varieties or the hybrids, it's of 75 centimeter into 60 centimeter. Then irrigation at the interval of 5 to 7 days, depending upon the soil and the climatic conditions, is very much necessary. So this is what the recommendations, which is very, very necessary for the varieties or the irrigated conditions or the rain-fed conditions and the hybrids. This is can be remembered. Please, friends, if possible, please take a screenshot of this slide. Please take the screenshot of this slide. In between, once you can please go through that. So the nitrogen requirement is much essential during the time of the growth period in the initial stages, and the phosphorus is much required to enhance the yield potentiality and also to give a very important colors to the plant. And the potassium, yes, always is going to increase the yield or the resistance. The potassium, it always gives the resistance. And the farmyard manure is cow dung, which requires a 25 tons per hectare. If it's in case of a hybrid, that's what I said when I was talking about in the first class, the 250 kg of NPK is required. For example, the hybrid, Arka Rakshak, yes, still more, Arka Rakshak, then Arka Rakshak, other varieties
Arka
from HR, Arka Samrat, very good. Yeah.
Arka Abe.
Arka Abe. So all these varieties, the hybrids, which requires much of the nutrient components, the equal components to enhance or to boost up the yield. That's the 250 into 250 into 250 kgs of NPK per hectare. That's the reason the 80 tons of potentiality by the Arka Rakshak. Why these three varieties are so important? ID number 06. ID number 06.
Yes, sir.
Why these three varieties are so important, which have been released by the IHR? Arka Rakshak, Arka Samrat, Arka Abe. Why these three varieties are very important? Hello?
Ha, sir.
Yeah, Helpa. Tell me something. Why these varieties? Anything in your mind in the good morning hours? Anything in your mind? Why this is very important? Sir, this is why this is important. Why you are important for our GKVK? Why you are important for our GKVK? Huh? Afran,
Ha,
had your breakfast?
yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me now. Why these varieties or the hybrids are so important?
They are good in taste, sir, and
They are good in taste. Very good. Next.
attraction of color.
Attraction of color. Okay. For GKVK. Okay. Please never forget. These are the varieties which have been released with the intention. They are the triple disease resistant varieties. Okay. They are triple disease resistance varieties. Just imagine if the farmers who are growing these tomato varieties, if they are getting a triple disease, 3 types of disease, which going to devastate all the crops, the farmer has to invest much on the chemicals. Okay, his all investment will go on the plant productions. That's the reason the scientists have made an effort and they have released the variety which called as the triple disease resistance variety, the early blight, wilt, then the leaf spot. So that's the reason this has been released. I feel you will not forget once after your completion of degree also. All right.
Yes.
Good luck. Okay, this is the reason, friends, I used to tell, please remember the words which are more important, which will be having the one importance. So please remember this, the hybrid recommendation, the 250, 250, 250 NPK is required for the one. Then friends, there are a few harvesting stages which are very, very important in case of tomato growing, which we call them as immature stage, that is the green stage, and mature stage, and turning stage, or turning red, or the pink, then or ripe, then overripe. So these are the stages harvesting. Explain regarding the harvesting of tomato, then you must remember these are the steps which are much, much important. This is immature stage, mature stage, turning pink, hard, ripe, and the overripe. So immature stages, the fruits which will be much times harvested for the pickling purpose. Then the mature types which will be more useful, the light green color at the blossom end, and which is going to be changed into yellowish. And turning, that means the 1/4 of the surface at the blossom end, which is going to show the pink colorness. That's the reason it will be useful. And the pink, that's the 3/4 of the stage, the surface, which is going to show the pink color. And the nearly all the parts, it will become a red or the pink with the firm flesh, which we call them as the all ripe, or the fully colored or the soft, which is going to have the overripe color. The overripe fruits will be much useful for the preparations of these processing products, the ketchup or the one. So this is one, friends. Please remember, if the varieties are there, then it's going to give 30,000 kilos of per hectare. That's 30 ton the potentiality, and if it's an hybrids, it is having the 80 tons. Okay, 80 tons or the 75,000 kilos of yield per hectare. So these are the the important varieties which we can remember. The Sayax, the best of all, Tip Top, Moneymaker, Hageti. So from the introductions, those are the introduced varieties. From the selections, for any selections, there must be a variations. So the variations is going to give a much, much important, which will be most useful for the selections of these varieties. So the Pusa Red Plum, again, it is suitable for table purpose. Then which will be having the high vitamin C and the sugar content. And Pusa Early Dwarf, it's an improved Miruti cross between the Red Cloud, which always gives the 395 quintal per hectare. Then Pusa Ruby, then Pusa Rohini, selection 120, then Pusa Gaurav. All these are the different other varieties which are very, very important. And from the Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, that is from the TNU University, they have released this variety. There's a CO1, CO2, CO3. The fruits born in clusters, that's CO1. Then this induced mutant from the CO1, which is a CO3, which is be so suitable for the closer spacing. That's a 1 feet into 1 feet. That's a 30 centimeter into 30 centimeter. And this Punjab Agriculture University, it is also released a few of the varieties, which we call them as a selection 12, which is also developed through irradiation. Okay, that's the exposure to the light. Okay, in the mutations, the irradiations, races, which will be used for the gamma rays or the alpha beta rays. So those are the one which has been developed. And the pear-shaped fruits we will be finding with the Punjab Chuhara. Then the Sweet 72, that's the Regional Agriculture Research Station Institute, Gwalior, they have released. And Mega, again, is from the US Dharwad, which have been released. So these are the special features of different varieties. The hybrid, which is F1 hybrid, leaf curl and nematode resistance F1 hybrid, okay, COTH3. The plants are semi-determinate, and they will be having the season bound. It's the February, March, or May, June, or the November, December. You can go and you can get the higher yield and good fruit quality and TSS, and all these are very, very important one. And friends, this is one which I said in the IHR, the Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. Okay, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. Okay, item number 10, Akshata Patel. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Akshat Patel.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Am I
IHR
audible?
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ? What is IHR? IIHR. IIHR.
Sorry, sir, I don't know the full form.
Okay. So many times I have pronounced that. Anyhow, no problem. Okay. Okay. 43, Chandushri. Okay, Chinmay.
Sir, Indian Institute of Horticultural Research.
Okay. Where it is located?
Sir, Bangalore, sir.
Bangalore, sir.
Where?
Sir, Hesragatta.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Other who has not known, now you have recalled Indian Institute of Horticulture Research located at Esragata is the one pioneer institute which is working on the vegetable productions or many other technologies. Please remember. Anyhow, you have accepted. Please now onwards, so please don't forget it. Okay. So these are the few other varieties which has been released by the Indian Institute of Horticulture Research Station. Okay. The Arka Saurabh, then the Arka Ahuti, then Arka Ashish, Arka Halok, Arka Meghali. Then from the Ishar Institute, the Agriculture, HS 101, 102, those are the one. Arun, Lalima, then Isar Anmol. These are the very good varieties. Then the Arka Vishal, Arka Abhijit, Pusa Hybrid 1, Pusa Hybrid 2, Indo-American seeds companies. This is only for the reference because these few of the companies varieties we won't recommend for the farmers. It is only the willingness of the farmer they ask to take the crops. Then Rasmi, Vaishali, Rupali, Naveen, Avinash. Avinash is a very good variety people are growing. Then the Maiko is they released Satabahar, then Gul Mohar. So these are the other one which has been listed so many varieties in case of tomato cultivation. This Pusa Ruby, Mega, then Pusa Early Dwarf, then Arka Vikas. The Sayax, okay, Sayax is the illustrations which can be grown, and best of all, Marglobe varieties Roma, then Rashmi, Rupali, Naveen, Karnataka, then Soma, then other Vaishnavi. Please remember them. So this is the one, the pictorial representations of these one, the black plum, then Anna Russian, then green white grape tomato. Is only a pictorial definitions for you for the reference. UK Garden Center grows Britain's first black tomatoes, which contains anthocyanin. Okay, the antioxidant properties which believed to be help to fight the cancer and diabetes and obesity. That's the one which has been grown. This indigo rose. Then these are the extraction methods of the seeds. The fermentation is through alkali methods, acid method, where the mass of these seed which will be treated with 300 grams of washing soda in 4 liters of boiling water in equal volumes, and then you're going to extract the seed. Then the acid method, the slimy materials which will be treated with the commercial hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid at the rate of 25 ml per kilo of the materials we'll use, and we can use the extraction method. These are the mechanical methods, seed extractors, which will be useful. We can go for extracting the capacity of 180 kilos of the fruits, which will give a 1.8 kgs of seed per hour. The cost of equipment is of 15,000, and cost of operations is 10 per hour. So this is what the disease is, the damping of the seedling will be at the base. It's going to be affected and it's going to be die. Then this is what the appearance of early blight, the leaf spots appears, the circular forms, and then later the stages is going to be spread. Then this is the late blight. Then the powdery mildew, the puffiness or the powder formations on the leaf will be available. Then the leaf curling, the curling and crinkling of leaves which is going to happen, which is the effect. Though the major pest, the leaf miner and the fruit borer. So most of the chemicals are available, which can be utilized. So this is one, the physiological disorders, the blossom end rot. So at the end of these distal, the blossoms, the sudden change in the transpirations, increase in the nitrogen content, or because of the calcium deficiency, we'll be finding these physiological disorders. Then cat face, please remember these physiological disorders. It will be a question for your external examination. Then abnormal growing conditions, the cat face. Then puffiness, okay, the non-fertilization of the ovules, which leads to cause this puffiness. Then embryo abortions after the normal fertilization and higher low or the soil moisture conditions, it is makes. Then sun scald, please just have a look. Then radial and concentric cracking. So these are the one best crops which people needs to be remember is the tomato. And the later stages, I'm going to highlight a few of the other things also. For the time being, I'm going to be stop at this stage. Friends, if you have any of the queries or any of the words you people wants to ask me, just 1 minute, please. Dr. CR, Gavisidaya? Hello?
ಸರ್
ಯಾ ನನಗೆ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಳಿಸಪ್ಪ.
ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್, ಇವಾಗ ತಗೊಂತೀನಿ ಸರ್.
ತಗೊಳಪ್ಪ, ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಂತ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ತಗೊಂಡು ಕಳಿಸಿ. 92. ಓಕೆ. Yes, friends, anybody wants to ask anything? ID number 14, Amruta CS.
Yes, sir.
ಏನಮ್ಮ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಮ್ಮ?
No, sir.
ಓಕೆ. ಅಮೃತ ಜಿ, ID number 15, ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಮ್ಮ?
No, sir.
ಓಕೆ. ಅನಿಲ್ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್, ಸಾರಿ ಅನಿಕಾ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ್,
Yes, sir.
ಏನಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಮ್ಮ?
No, sir.
Okay, when you people come to offline, there will be much of doubts. I'm going to clear it. Okay, friends, if there is no doubts, you can go read well and please take your care regarding the COVID situations and be healthy and please be careful and look for your health. Thank you so much. End ಮಾಡ್ಲೇನಪ್ಪ CR?
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್.
Okay.